Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. How's everyone doing? Good morning, John. Let me move this over to chat to the other monitor. There we go. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Sterling. Good morning, Bull Strike Cheetah. Good morning, OD Green. Beautiful morning in the words of Creed Breton. Yeah. Hey, people in the background, because some of you people watching, they chime in the, come on, chime in the chat. Again, lighter day. I guess there's nothing to talk about because the market's just grinding higher. Grinding higher. Good morning, Royal Palms. All right. We're going to get some more people in here. There's more people in here than showing up in the chat, but we'll see. We'll see. Oh, it did? I didn't even. I didn't check that. I know I put a couple things up there yesterday. Uh, yeah. So we don't cover some of those in here, but sometimes we do. Good morning, Harold. Good morning, Tony. All right. All right. What do we got going on today? Thanks for that shout out, Sterling. And I hope it's your wonderful day off. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Another week's flying by in the summertime. What do we got? We got the mortgage stuff out. We got Powell's testimony. Did anybody listen to the line of questioning to some of these people yesterday? I mean, it scares me that these people are elected to Congress. It's some of their questions are terrifying. Their lack of even rudimentary financial understanding. But that's all we need to talk about there. Yeah, Chris, good morning. Good morning. Also, if you could come back and leave some comments. The algos are really looking for comments. So if you can take some time, just put in, say hi or something. Just put in something. Hello, Charles. That testimony is hard work. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. Good morning, Jacob. That's all I have to say. What do we got? It's a very light day. We got new home sales. We got crude oil. It's not light for crude oil traders, so we're getting a little bounce. Hello, Daniel. How are you doing? I have no day off during the last week of the month. Okay, so it's the last week of the month. You don't have the day off. Sorry about that, Sterling. Piss my pants with the questions. I mean, it's absurd. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's what terrifies me. That's what terrifies me. So if they don't know the basics of that, and they're supposed to pass fiscal stuff, oh my goodness. No wonder we're like, what are we, 37 trillion? It's absurd. But I guess what you elect what you deserve. I don't know. What? So we have nothing today. We have nothing today. Remember, tomorrow we got GDP information and everything else. So tomorrow morning matters. Today, there isn't much. We have what paycheck? Ooh, down pretty big. FedEx reported yesterday their guidance was bad. They're down close to 5% right now. Guidance not good on FedEx, which is interesting from an economic perspective. Coin continues to march higher. Micron reports after the close, all of the chips are green and the mega caps are green. So groups, let's just do a quick little refresh here. We got technology, comm services, consumer cyclical, so it's definitely a risk on time of day. My favorite statement that media uses, risk on. Consumer defensive, nobody cares about consumer defensive because why be defensive now? Just buy everything. It's going to new highs. Well, at least in the NASDAQ and the S&P. Fed Watch still has an 80% chance of a pause in July. Fear and greed still in greed mode. Schiller PE back above 37. We won the prize. Oh my goodness, this market. But it'll keep going until it doesn't. Oh, I even forgot BlackBerry was yesterday. BlackBerry's just so not. I don't even know what they exist to. What does BlackBerry do anymore? Remember when they were everything before the iPhone, and now they are. Do they even make phones anymore? I didn't look at General Mills yet. I was too busy this morning, and I got to check out General Mills in Winnebago. Sterling, if you, I know you're at work, but if you have either of those earnings, could you just throw them in the chat? Again, the big one after the close is Micron. Tomorrow we got Walgreens Boots in the morning, McCormick Spices, Nike after the close. But again, nothing is really going to be. Micron will move the semis. All right. What are we looking at? Again, grinding higher. We just hit another key area right here. I have the 6153 was a harmonic level. That was a projection from the lows at the 23rd of May to this pausing bar at the 16, and if you're playing along at home, which gave me 6153, which we hit pretty much with the high yesterday. But the next, this is what I was interested in. I needed an intermediate level because the next major levels are all the way up here. So I needed an intermediate level. Should we take out the 6166, which we're really close to right now? We're 6154. Then it's 6197. That is your intermediate harmonic. The bigger pullback area is the prior breakout area with the rising 8 EMA and the 37.5 harmonic, all coming in a cluster right around 6080 to 6100. I'm focused on about 6090 on a bigger pullback should something happen. Separate from that, I'm just paying attention to the 4-hour rotation zone. So any dip, especially near the 8 EMA on the 4-hour rotation zone, watching for bounce setups. Now, back to the bigger picture. We are getting into overbought territory. Cycles aren't yet at the top. But I'm cognizant of that going into tomorrow and Friday's numbers. We have the PCE numbers. So, for short-term moves, again, would be a little more aggressive on raising a stop. From longer-term moves, like when we got the capitulation bottom, not aggressive on raising a stop, just on short-term. By the way, for longer-term stuff from the capitulation bottom, which seems so long ago, my longer-term stuff would be below the 200. You can actually still, it's below the 200. It's around 5,800. NASDAQ, pretty much the same story. The projections for this one were from the lows on the 23rd of May to the pausing bar at the 16th, which gave me this 22,400 area, which we closed nearly at yesterday, and then 22,595. Right now we're above that. We've set a new high in the NASDAQ futures. In the futures, we've set a new high. The next intermediate target of 25,595. Bigger pullback. The bigger pullback area that I'm focusing on is about this 22,170 to 22,200 area. The minor pullback area, I'm watching this 8 EMA. Okay, coming in right now about 22,385 to 22,400. Okay, that's where we sit there. What would someone was complaining about her nails getting expensive? Priorities, right? Priorities. Good morning, Heinrich. Government contracts keep backberry going, so they keep making their stuff? Oh boy. All right, General Mills was a miss on revenue. That is important, miss on revenue. General Mills is going to be, let me call that up real quick, because this is one I was interested in before. I am being very patient. Why am I still interested in it? Not as much because it's still got nearly a 4.5% dividend yield. Look at that P to E ratio, 11. Now, they did miss on revenue, but this is one to keep an eye out for longer term. Not yet, but longer term, keep an eye out for it. It's now below the 62.5. I'm really focused on the 75 harmonic area, which is coming in just above 50, which we may get to in the next few days. There is actually why am I pointing this out? Because it might be an interesting longer term dividend play. Okay, that's where I'm looking to possibly look for something. I love the 87.5, but that would make the dividend yield really nice and the PE really nice. General Mills is not going out of business. Just be patient on this on the pullback. Winnebago beat. I'm surprised at that. That's interesting. Dow. So there's another one you can add for a long. I'm not mean add buy it yet, but keep an eye on General Mills if you're looking for longer term dividend plays, because at some point that'll turn the corner. Also get some appreciation from just a share price. While you're collecting a dividend, just be patient. And if you want to leg into something, you could always put on a partial position around that 75% harmonic. And then if it gets down to that 87.5, really put on a full position. Meanwhile, if it drops below that 75.5, you can always sell some calls against it. So you could be collecting the shorting some calls, so covered calls against your position. And then you can collect something from that and then collect the dividend and help offset any decline. And then that 87.5 would be where I get in the rest of that position. The Dow, the next key harmonic area, we got a lot of key stuff right up here. A lot of key stuff right up here between 43,900 and to 44,160. That is now that we've broken out on any pullbacks, it's 43 is support. But my target area now that we finally gotten out of this mess is 43, really 895 to 44,162. That's my target area. The Russell, if we do break above the high from the Wednesday the 11th, we have an intermediate level of 2220, okay, and a very significant cluster right at 2247. Also, if you look over here, 2247, we have look at this price action here. Look at all these dips below, even the gap down, the sell off to the 200 and the snapback above. Until that broke, that was a major support level. It dipped above it, but regained it pretty quickly there. But that and the harmonics, that's a key target. Should we break above this 20, what was that high to be exact? 2194. That is the intermediate 2220. And that's at least for a stop raise for me. And then my cluster is 2240. What was it to be exact? 2247. So there's another thing if you're interested in the Russell. If it drops and it can't hold this 2159 on a closing basis, I'll be patient then again. VIX, no fear near here. So nothing to talk about there. DAX, little pullback now after tagging that 62.5. So again, if in order for me to continue to watch for something, I have to get back. Still looking for the pullback for this 23.5 to hold. And then possibly a bounce play, but we got to follow through with a close of about 23,954. The yields, now watching for a pullback and for this 111.04 level to hold, and the micro yields coming back down to next target 4.276. Now I'm going to watch to make sure 4.36 holds on a closing basis on any bounce play. I mean, we're still just in a lower consolidation channel. This, you got to be, if you're trading either the micro yields or the full 10-year notes, you got to be nimble here. It's not, we're not in a trend environment. Crude, coming back down right to that, look at that 62.5. My target area was between about, it actually hit 64, it was between 63.96 and 63.20 for any short-term things. Then I'm going to be watching for that to possibly hold. Is there a great setup? Not with the EIA numbers coming out. If you're not in it already. Natty gas, nothing since it broke back below support. It did not hold, and it did not hold the rotation zone. So now I'm actually watching for a pullback closer to that 200. Gold, still watching for a reconnect with the 50. That's short term, and this would not recommend unless you're very aggressive shorting gold. Would not recommend it shorting it. That's where I'm looking for a possible bottoming pattern. Silver, Going to be paying attention if it does turn around. I'm paying attention to yesterday's highs for potential rotation zone and percent B buy. What else? Dollar index. We still have, I mean, theoretically, it'd be a super aggressive long above yesterday's high for a percent B, but you got the rotation zone still against you. Other than that, if we do turn and break down through this massive bottoming formation forming, then it's 96.57 areas of target. Other than that, I'm still watching for long setups. The only thing is the percent beat buy, but you got to be really nimble on that. Probably too aggressive for most people. Euro, we still have the massive double top pattern. Other than that, if it does break above yesterday's high, the target is 117. Yen, not much to talk about here, so let's not. Spiders, what are the targets now? Well, 608.35. We're gapping up 607.98, so 608.35, and then we have 609.76. On any pullback, 606.78 would be to the gap fill. Your major support level right now is about 604.35, right where close to the gap open yesterday. The Qs hitting the harmonic, hitting the all-time high area. The technically all-time high from a high is 540.81. We're gapping above that. We hit the minor harmonics yesterday, so those are done. The next key thing for me now, if you want to do another projection for the Qs, here's what I would use. I'd use your low from the 23rd to this pausing bar on the 11th. Okay? So that gives 544.58. So if you're long and you look, another one would be for raising a stop, 544.58 would be key. I do it actually closer to 544.50. 552.56 is your next major harmonic level. Who else is here? We'll take a look at coin in a second. Corn syrup cereal, buy at 8.75. Yep, there you go, Daniel. Good morning, McRangers. Can you explain when a percent B buy is valid? All right, percent B buy for new people here. Here's your settings. It's a Bollinger Band percent B. Length of 5. It's a high-low close divided by 3. You could do, if you can't do high-low close, you can still do the close. The high-low close gives you a little more accurate. Standard deviation of 1. For your buys, you want it to get below 0. And let me go back to silver. Silver, where's my silver? There it is. So I want it to drop below 0 like this. So you see how it's below 0? And then the next bar is this potential setup bar. If it breaks above the high and you're an intraday trader, you can get in early on a trade above the high, or unless you get an intraday pattern that then breaks above the high, it has to follow through with a close above that high. And that's the official confirmation. So if you're getting an intraday and it does not hold the high, I do not carry it. Technically, your stop is below the lowest bar. Like, let's say today formed a lower low and then took out the high, the stop would be below that. If not, it's generally the lowest low, which is generally the percent B buy bar. Okay? Sometimes it can be the bar before, and that's on a closing basis. You can always put a more aggressive stop in, like, again, if it doesn't close above the high, I don't carry it. And you can, if I have a very key intraday level, all right, like for silver, let's say it broke above this high. Let me give you a clear example. What do I have here? I could go, the official stop is below the low, but what would I be possibly looking at? So this is not triggered yet, so this stop would not be valid. It'd have to trigger and then follow through with the close. But look at this 35.60 area. Look at this. You have this spike low here. You have this key reversal. You have this spike low here. Yeah, it reversed down, but it went back above there very quickly. But if it took out yesterday's high and then closed back below this level, I wouldn't want to be carrying it. Okay? So that's a tighter stop. That's an example of what you can do right there. And look where that is in relationship to the rotation zone. So if you close back below there, you may close below the rotation zone. Then I wouldn't want to carry it. So that's your percent B buys. Does that make sense, Christopher? No. You're not wrong. I'm not trading it that way. I am not trading it that way. I talked about that a few weeks ago. First of all, it has to still close above the 62.5. There is this inverse head and shoulders. You are correct. It's right here. Let me take off some of these other lines. You are correct. I'm just not trading it that way. Oops. Because there is a lot of stoppage. I'm being patient on raising. So once this closes above the 62.5, I'll be more patient. But there is a lot of stuff in here. Now, if you're using those targets, again, that's the beauty of trading. You don't have to trade it the same way. Your targets would officially be, and here's why. This is not an official target, but look where this 25% is just before right here. The official first target, look at where that high is. And the second target and third target. This is a hyper aggressive because of where the targets are. And if we look at the weekly, I mean, it technically works, barely. But look at, I mean, this would put the Russell in a very strong market over the next few months. So I'd be looking more to get in and out of the Russell personally and use, especially, all right, let's say we took out the target of 22.49, we get a pullback, maybe get long again, and then the next key target area based off that would be is 23.38. Would I just try to hold this the whole way through? No. I personally wouldn't. But that's a good question. What else? What else? What else? RSP trying to break out today. Trading again, closing a very key resistance. I'm only paying attention to this intraday today. RSP, that's why I'm bringing it up. Tesla. Again, we're in that rollover zone. So I'm still looking for rollover plays. Let's take a look at coin. Again, coin through the 87.5 on a new closing all-time high basis. Now you can do your harmonic projections. All right, coin's still running. So if you're going to use your harmonic projections, I'd be doing the reverse harmonics from the low of the 7th of April all the way back to the high of the 6th of December. And that would give me 375 area, and then if it kept running, 400 area. Okay, those would be the major harmonics. Now, if we do get a pausing bar, then you can use this low to the pausing bar, the low from the 13th. But until that happens, that's your target, 375.65. Broadcom, retesting the highs, breaking out again. The next harmonic, 266.10, we're opening just above that right now. That harmonic, we've double topped near there. Next is 280.33. NVIDIA breaking above, again, the top of this level. So target is 150.43. The minor target's coming in on now. We're going to gap above that. We're almost gapping to the 150.43 level. Hope that helps people. We got 1 minute to the open. Let's just peek at the S&P. So there we go. Basing right here into the open, I'll be paying attention to 61, about 51 to 61.53 on any pullbacks. So that's where we sit. Hopefully this was helpful. Tried to explain some more things. Again, we'll keep covering stuff for people. So that's where we sit. Hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful trading day. Remember, tomorrow morning, we got GDP, we got durable goods, we got GDP, PCE, and we got the weekly unemployment numbers. So pay attention to the 8:30 Eastern Time numbers that come out. Coin just keeps chugging on. We're in a complete buy everything market again. We're completely in. Nothing matters, just buy it all. So that's where we sit at for the moment. Can it change? Yeah. But, you know, we had the failed S&P, and when a double top fails that quickly and we triggered that percent beat buy, got to go with it. Got to go the other way. And still we have the trend is up. We have not closed below the rotation zone since the first cross back at the end of April. No close above the or below the rotation zone. So you got to keep trading the rotation dips until we get a more significant topping pattern and just trail a stop. All right, everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll talk to everyone later. You're welcome, Dean. Bye for now.